Friends, a big hello to everyone. You are in the Slonimskaya studio. Welcome. In this video, we will knit this cap with a cuff together. It is knitted as simply as possible, with a regular stockinette stitch in the round, seamless. It can be worn with or without a pom-pom, as you prefer. There is a simple decrease at the crown. I will show and explain everything. Also, here is a beautiful transition from pink to blue. I will also show how to knit such a gradient. The cap is knitted very quickly and easily. In just a day or two, you can easily knit it. Therefore, even a beginner can manage it. By the way, all the necessary lessons for knitting this cap are in the links below the video. Also, for those who do not like to knit following video tutorials, I have prepared a written masterclass. It is also in the link below this video. Go to my website. Download this document in PDF format and knit using the written masterclass. And for those who love to knit with video, welcome. Let's gather all the necessary materials and tools, select yarn and start knitting. I will use Slonimskaya half wool in blue and pink. It is very thin. Therefore, I will knit with 8 strands. By the way, to create a beautiful transition from one color to another, you definitely need a thin thread to gradually change one color into another. You can see the yarn consumption on the screen. I will also use needles number 3.25, a knitting needle for decreases, and short cable needles. A measuring tape, scissors, and a needle with a wide eye, markers will be needed. A notebook, with a pen for calculations, and a pom-pom, if you plan to make the cap with one. The height of the entire cap is 32 centimeters. I knitted 103 rows. With pink, I knitted 19 centimeters or 61 rows. The gradient took 5 centimeters or 16 rows. And for the blue section, 8 centimeters or I knitted 26 rows. The width of the hat here is 23.5 and 24 centimeters. I cast on 112 stitches for a head circumference of 51 to 54 centimeters. The height can be adjusted. It all depends on how tall a collar you need. In principle, you could make even 2 collars, but I think one is enough. Because the stockinette stitch here curls up, creating the volume of one collar, I think it's quite sufficient. We also need to take measurements. Measure the head circumference of the person for whom we are planning to knit the hat. I knitted for my 7-year-old daughter. Her head circumference is 51 centimeters. But, after knitting the hat, I tried it on myself. My head circumference is 54 to 55 centimeters. Therefore, I wrote that from 51 centimeters to 54 centimeters, this hat will fit well. In general, measure the head circumference. Next, we knit a sample. Knit the sample using the stockinette stitch, wash it, dry it, and calculate your knitting tension. When calculating my knitting tension, I stretched the sample. I stretched it to the desired fit on the head. With this tension, I calculated my stitches and rows. How to calculate your knitting tension, I explain in a separate lesson. The link above, or as I said. All links will be under the video. Then we just perform simple, very basic calculations. First, calculate the number of stitches to cast on initially. We take the head circumference of 51 centimeters and multiply by the knitting tension, meaning how many stitches per centimeter. I ended up with 112 stitches. So, initially, I will cast on this many stitches. Next, we look at the height. The pink sector should be about 19 centimeters for us. I take 19 centimeters. I multiply by the density. That is, I multiply by the number of rows in 1 centimeter. It results in 61 rows. So to knit the pink sector of 19 centimeters, I will need to knit 61 rows. Next is the gradient sector. That is, the transition from pink to blue. It took me about 5 centimeters. Therefore, I take 5 centimeters and multiply by the knitting density per number of rows in 1 centimeter. I got 16. That is, as I knit the gradient, I will knit 5 centimeters or 16 rows. And the blue sector at the end, it's about 8 centimeters for me. Also 8, I multiply by the knitting density per number of rows in 1 centimeter. And it results in 26 rows. So to knit the blue sector, I will need to knit 26 rows, and I will get 8 centimeters in height. And the total height of the hat, I said 32 centimeters for mine. I also multiply 32 by the knitting density, and in total, I will have 103 rows. After that, we start knitting. I cast on 112 stitches, plus 1 stitch to close it into a circle, using a backward cast on. For those who don't know, please follow the link above to the lesson. There I show more details on how this is done. After we cast on the stitches, we make sure nothing is twisted here. On the front side, we have such transverse stitches, and on the back side, the cast-on edge looks like a braid. Now, I need to join the knitting into a circle and decrease 1 stitch. I will insert the left needle into the last stitch on the right needle. Then, with the right needle, I will grab this first stitch on the left needle and pull it through the transferred stitch. I drop this from the left needle, tightening. Now we place the marker. This is our beginning of knitting. So, we have 12 stitches on the needles. Because we decreased 1 stitch when we joined it in a circle, I knit the first row in knit stitches through the back loop. In the second and all subsequent rows, I will knit in knit stitches. Through the front loop. I knitted about 19 centimeters. Here I have it, I checked. Visually, so that my hat rolls up once at the top and has a couple of additional centimeters here. At this point, I already decided to introduce a new color. Gradually, I will start to add the blue yarn. So, I had 112 stitches in each row. Here I finish 1 row, so. What am I doing? I take away 1 pink yarn. I have already cut it. Here, I leave a little tail to hide it easily later. And instead of this 1 pink, I attach 1 blue. It might be hard to see on the camera. They are very thin yarns. In general, we remove 1 pink. And we attach 1 blue there, and then we just continue knitting the same in stockinette stitch through the front loop. Only now we will have 1 thin yarn in blue color. So, I have completely switched to blue. I knitted 16 rows. That is, in every third row, I added 1 new blue yarn and removed 1 pink. So, I knitted the first and second rows with 1 blue yarn. In the third row, I added the second blue yarn. Well, I removed the pink accordingly. In the fifth, I added the third blue yarn and so on. In every third row, I added a new color of yarn. As a result, the transition took about 5 centimeters in height. After that, I knitted 8 centimeters with the blue yarn. I had 26 rows. I switched to a circular needle so that it would be easier for me to make decreases now. The total height of the cap is now 32 centimeters. We are starting to make decreases. In the first row, we will alternate knitting 1 stitch and then making a decrease. So, we knit 1 stitch through the front loop. Then, we knit the next 2 stitches together through the front loop. That is, we are making a decrease. Then again 1 stitch through the front loop, and again a decrease. 2 stitches together through the front loop. We continue like this until the end of the row. At the end of the row, after my decrease, I only have 1 knit stitch left. This is all because the total number of stitches is not a multiple of 3. But, in principle, I don't mind. It's not a big deal if two knit stitches are next to each other. It will still be unnoticed. In the second row, we simply knit straight with knit stitches through the front loop. So, I knitted the first row with decreases. The second row straight, and I used 37 stitches. I started with 112 stitches. I decreased a third, and on the needles, there are 75 stitches left. Next, in the third and all following rows, we will knit just like the first row, alternating between one knit stitch and decreases. That is, there will be no more usual rows without decreases. Here is one knit stitch, then two stitches together through the front loop. We will knit this way until there are such a number of stitches on the needles. They can easily be pulled together with a thread, and we do not pull the stitches too tight because it will be difficult to make decreases later. So, I have knitted about 5 rows, alternating one knit stitch with a decrease. There, the rows are hard to count because the stitch is kind of off. Transition from one row to another, that's how it turns out. I now have 15 stitches on the needles. And now, I am simply closing the crown. I cut my working thread. I pulled it through a needle with a wide eye. And now, I will simply transfer all my 15 stitches onto the thread. This is how a sharp decrease turns out. Don't pull the thread too tight so it doesn't break. Now, around the circle, under the stitches, I will go over the thread once more to secure it a bit, and hide it on the wrong side. Well, there you go, this is how the crown turns out. After this, we hide all the tails. The hat needs to be washed and dried. To it, I knitted an additional triangle scarf. There will be a masterclass in the next video, so don't miss it. Subscribe. Also, you can attach a pom-pom to this hat if you want. It will look good too. The cuff can be made a little bigger or smaller, as everyone likes. That's it, friends. This hat is very simple in principle, so I think even a beginner can knit it. But if you have any questions left, ask in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.